Buff Nation, what's going on? I know it's been a little bit since I've done a solo live, but gonna go live here for a few moments and talk about the big news that broke today. Rick George is going to be stepping down as athletic director for the University of Colorado at the end of the academic year. And then he's going to transition into an advisory role for the university, still going to be involved with football. We'll talk about that. Got a thank you to Rick George, and we can also talk about the really fun idea I think that's really populating Twitter right now about Jeremy Bloom possibly coming back. I think that would be really, really exciting. But yeah, Rick George, man, where do I start? I want to say one thing that I really respected about Rick George, and I don't think every single other athletic director does this, but it was always great to see whether it was during the time I was a graduate student or at CU or just when I would go to home games. Even when Prime was, or he's still here, but you understand, like when I was going to games, I live in Texas right now. Um, you know, During Prime's first year, I mean, you would always see Rick George walking around the campus before kickoff, talking to students, talking to alumni, fans, making the rounds around campus. And I always really respected that about him. And because of that, man, I had the opportunity a couple years back to just thank him for what he has done for this university. I mean, he took over Colorado at a very difficult time. Of course, we were coming out of the John Embry era, had just hired Mike McIntyre, and that's when he kind of stepped in. I think it was 2013, and there's a lot that Colorado athletics has accomplished. I'm going to kind of keep this a little bit more football based since this is a college football channel. But the biggest thing that he did when it came to the football team, of course, was Coach Prime. But before that, it was the Champions Center, a $100 million plus investment. He had to raise money for that. And that really helped get our training facilities up to date. That was massive. Again, especially being at where we were at prior, it was monumental. And then, hey, had to let go of Mike McIntyre after a couple 5-7 seasons. Takes a swing on Mel Tucker. And maybe this was like a blessing by disguise, right? That it didn't work out. We had a 5-7 season, and that man left after a week after signing a recruiting class. Just insane. And hands kind of tied. Went with Karl Dorrell after the entire coaching cycle had already closed. 3 years of okay results, and then a disastrous last year. And I really love that Coach Prime was the big swing, was the big ticket item, and Rick George wasn't scared to go after him, and totally helped alongside Coach Prime like revitalize the excitement around Colorado. It really does mean a lot. Again, you guys have probably heard me talk about this ad nauseum, but prior to Coach Prime, we had a huge issue with getting transfers in here because we were one of like the hardest schools to transfer into because of archaic transfer credit rules that most schools have moved past and moved beyond. With bringing in Coach Prime, Rick George was finally able to get that lifted so we could play, the transfer portal game like everybody else, and has helped fundraise to a new level. We're paying our coaches, assistants, obviously head coach more than we ever have. Bringing in new investors, we're creating renovations along the Folsom, which is great. Obviously, the new scoreboard was huge, the new turf, and hopefully we'll see some expansion with the seating here coming up. But yeah, 2023-24 Athletic Director of the Year. Again, I think that it doesn't always show up on the record, but I think um, this last hire that Rick George made with Coach Prime has just been tremendous for the university as a whole. And hey, kept him around a little bit longer. He has said, that he was probably looking to retire maybe a little bit beforehand, with all this, but Coach Prime added a little bit of life to what he was doing, or extended his athletic director life, so to speak. So Again, a lot of respect for Rick George. He was on the recruiting staff during the run with Coach Mack, national champion in 1989. Tremendous. Spent some time at Vanderbilt, Texas Rangers, but then ultimately came back to Colorado, which was awesome, and has kind of helped lay the groundwork for CU to be successful here in the future and many years in the future. So, just want to thank Rick George. He hasn't always had. Um, he's had a divided board of regents at different points. He's had division amongst faculty. Previous chancellor hasn't, wasn't always the easiest to get along with, right? Rick George has done a tremendous job, and how could I forget about parlaying this whole thing, with Coach Prime and moving into the Big 12, being the first team to get a nice little, I think it was like $1 million or a couple $1 million bonus to be the first team to leave the Pac-12 a couple years back and join the Big 12. Rick George has helped give this university stability in life and hope. And thank you, Rick George. You will forever be remembered. And I'm glad I got to shake your hand a couple years ago for the Arizona game. I want to say it was, man. So, um, with that being said, let's talk about where we move forward from here. Obviously, you're casual if you think this has anything to do with Prime's future, right? He's coming back. He always has been. We'll see what changes are made here in a couple weeks after the season concludes. But yeah, this I think comes at a good time because you've heard me talk about we need more. I think we need some new energy kind of in the program, right? Someone to really, really push recruiting a bit more. And I think a new athletic director can help with that. I think we still need somebody to fundraise at a new level. And you hear it all the time. Colorado's we're not to the level of Texas Tech, but we're also not broke. We're paying Coach Prime a top 5 salary or so in college football. But there's definitely things that we need to leverage and do better. Growing the collective, growing the NIL, overall, just more fundraising for staff and for the football program, all those things. And I love the fact that people have brought up the idea of Colorado Buffalo, Jeremy Bloom. And if you guys need a little bit of context, if you're young, you're like, who's Jeremy Bloom? Man, Jeremy Bloom, Olympian, skier, right? Was he skier, snowboarder? Man, now I'm embarrassed. I thought I had it on here. Let me see here. Yeah, he was a skier at Colorado. Let me go ahead and share this. Jeremy Bloom, courtesy of my friend ScoBuffs22, he's kind of pushed this whole Jeremy Bloom thing. Two-time Olympian in skiing, World Cup golds, All-American football player, played wide receiver at CU. That's where I know him from, seeing him on TV, and of course, what went on with him and skiing. And I think he wanted to come back, I want to say, to CU for another year, but because of his eligibility issues with skiing, it didn't really work out. Maybe I'm just making that up again. Like, I haven't studied the history from when I was a kid, but that's kind of like what I remember. Played with the Philadelphia Eagles, Pittsburgh Steelers. His sister had a movie made after her for man, I can't remember, about running these poker rooms. But anyways, co-founded an enterprise marketing software company called Integrate, and he spoke a little bit about this because he was part of the team trying to get Deion Sanders here to Colorado. And since then, his startup that he was a part of was acquired, major acquisition, and now he's the CEO of the X Games, which is like super cool. Rick George reported making $850K a year as athletic director for CU. I have no idea what he makes a CEO of the X Games. I have no idea. I did one Google search on it. It would be interesting to see if we can come up with something that's a little bit more competitive and might even pay him a little bit more to run the athletic department here at CU. But some things that I love about Jeremy Bloom, one, Colorado Buffalo, right? Definitely understands and was here for some of the last, few like really, really good years that we had in the Gary Barnett era. It's awesome. Connection to the university. Big fan of Coach Prime. Obviously, part of bringing him here had to do with Jeremy Bloom. And then also the ability to fundraise. This is something that I think we need to do much better as CU. Again, you live in one of the biggest tech hubs of the US in Boulder, Colorado. There you don't even need to leave Boulder County to fundraise money for CU football, man. You don't. And he's got the ability, hey, to talk finance, to talk tech, to talk buffs to all these guys, and I think pitch a nice fundraising plan to a lot of you know Boulderites with some deep pockets. I think it would be huge. And again, I want somebody in here that's got a little bit more youthful energy. Someone who sees this as, more than just maybe a few year type of thing. Somebody that could see themselves as being athletic director here for the next 10, 15 years. Jeremy Bloom could be that guy. Again, I don't know if he has interest in this. I hope that he does because he deeply cares about this university. But I think that he would be kind of the perfect guy to bring in here with his ability to fundraise. He can do that. If you can fundraise for your company, I think that those skills should be able to translate over to fundraising for the football program in Boulder, right? And again, already has a relationship and already understands what's going on with the football program with Coach Prime. And again, I think that we've seen that on this staff. Coach Prime's making changes too. I think there have been some gaps that need to be filled. Man, we need to hire some people here that can just straight up be responsible for recruiting Colorado. And I think that that's where Jeremy can kind of help out, right? Um, Getting some guys in place to help kind of round out the staff, not take over. And it's also kind of been mentioned or reported that hey, they might be looking for a legitimate football GM. So that's not David Kelly, so he could obviously help with that with his NFL connections. Yeah, I think that would be great. So we'll see what happens with Jeremy Bloom. Again, cool that he was a two sport athlete at CU, football and skiing, and has been involved in extreme sports, right? Extreme sports. And maybe he's got to scratch that itch of getting back into football a little bit, man. I think it would be quite exciting. And what I also like to, what we're trying to build here, right, is a new era of really successful Colorado football. I love the fact that he's connected to the last era of really good Colorado football that we've had. And I think that's important. I think that we need, it would be nice to see some more guys involved from that era too, because they still got plenty of youthful energy. So I think it would be cool. We'll see what happens next, but I'm very very excited for it, guys. I really am, man. So hey, I want to shout out Kai Moore right here. Hope you're doing well. Thanks for tuning in. Yeah, how about we see Shador start here in Cleveland sometime, man? But ultimately, and just happy for Rick George. I'm happy that he's not leaving the university. I think Coach Prime, he said this is, kind of added to his athletic director life here at CU. So it seemed like this was something that was going to happen eventually. And when you never saw that contract extension happen with Rick George last year around the same time as Prime, you kind of had to wonder, hey, maybe he is, you know, going to retire from this type of role at some point, and that seems to be the case. So I'm pumped to see what the university does yet. But yeah, count me as a part of the movement to want to see Jeremy Bloom included in this athletic director role. Hey, and I also won't rule out the guy that just got fired from LSU, man. I won't. I know. Hey, he gave Jimbo Fisher a bad contract. He gave Brian Kelly a bad contract. But you know what? You know what I appreciate about that guy? And I don't even know his name. I don't even remember his name. That guy's not afraid to take big swings. And I will never crap on anybody for going all out, taking a big risk, and trying to hit a home run, dude. So if we'll see what his fundraising ability is like. Hey, when you're talking about huge buyouts, you gotta for like Jimbo Fisher, right? You got to be able to rally the dollars, right? I think that that needs to be the priority here at CU moving forward. Again, the Boulder, Denver area, the whole Front Range area, it is, I mean, dude, you got like Ball Aerospace, right? And they do some different things with CU, but I mean, they could be doing so much more. We got aerospace companies, we got tech companies, we got medical companies. That we put out a lot of amazing professionals outside of sports, man. It's time to rally the troops. It's time to take our fundraising to a new level at CU. And I think that needs to be probably the primary focus of the next AD is raising money for athletics. So, yep, Rick George is going to still be involved, man. It's going to be great. So I love the fact that he'll still be around in an advisory role. That's going to be helpful for whoever is AD next. And as we move forward, man. So this is going to be a fun chapter to kind of track. I hope that we can get some news, some leaks on, potential names, potential interviews, but it's got to start with Jeremy Bloom, man. I think so. That would be very, very exciting. So, guys, I'm going to shut this thing down. I'm going to hop over to my Broncos stream here at 8 p.m. Mountain Time. But I'll be back tomorrow. Y'all be sure to smash that like, subscribe, leave a thank you for Rick George in the comments. We'll see y'all later.